First question.
Because it's mystifying on the eye. The the ease with which teams concede score drives against the Bulls. And then you have those patches where the Bulls turn around, they look brilliant. And how do you explain to the layperson what's going on there in terms of the frustration they would feel that a team can look so good and then concede so comfortably, regardless of competition?
Yeah. No, I think it's a good question because we obviously that's a big at the moment a big debate in among us as coaches as well because it is a frustration. You know, can score tries, but you keep leaking tries, you know, you're not going to win. And that's the frustrating part. So it's that inconsistency at the moment in all our areas that you know that's a bit challenging at the moment. Like for example, sometimes it's an individual mistake, sometimes it's a system mistake, and it's not consistent. You know, and it's quality players that make the mistake. You know, and that's the thing. It's you've seen them in the past don't make the mistake. So I take it it's for the guy people outside must be frustrating because it's frustrating for us. It's you know the players take it hard to lose and the manner that we lose, knowing that you create all those opportunities but you make it so easy for the opposition. You know, there's a lot of factors I can mention and use as excuses that I'm not going to use as excuses. You know, we'll start. I'll start looking at myself, and then you know, obviously, we'll have a good debrief and review from the coach's point of view, and then you know, we have to deal with it on the field and try and fix it and fix it through good talks with the players. You know, because the reality is it's the same players that must play going forward. So it's not like you can say, okay, we're changing the players, and you know, so you have to play. And I'm searching for a lot of things. I'm soul searching at the moment because obviously, you know, you feel that you prepared well. Then you know, get yourself back in the game, and then suddenly, you know, you let it slip. And that's why, you know, for me, it's a bit personal that, like, you know, I'm asking myself, like, am I preparing the team well enough? But also then, you know, the reality is I've been in the situations where sometimes things just doesn't want to go your way, and it's a great test of character of how you're going to deal with that. You know, um, each individual. That's what I said to them, and how we stick together because it's so easy to point fingers, so easy to blame somebody else for not making his tackle or not doing this. End of the day, the honest and open conversations must be between us and us alone. You know. And because it's only us that can turn it around.
Okay, second week in a row, in English for the sake of the recording, second week in a row, you fell behind early and then came back and then lost it again. Is it a communication on the field or leadership or both? It's almost like you lose focus when like you relax when you're there and you caught up and then you let it go again.
I think the frustrating thing is the kind of mistakes we make in our half. You know, like we lose a kickoff, or we knock a ball, or we know they're going to come at the breakdown, but we don't secure it, and then they get a turnover, and you know those small little things last week and this week, and you look at the first 10 points last week. You know, the first time they got there, we knocked on the ball and accidentally offside 3 points. Second time, we pass a loose pass, they kick through 10-0 behind. Then you chase the game. Same with tonight. One mistake, and they scored a easy try, and suddenly you chase the game. And then we do all this hard work to get back, and you feel the momentum is on your side. And then our discipline let ourselves down. You know, 33-22, a yellow card. And then as the yellow card finish, another yellow card. And that's the problem, you know. So we just at the moment our worst enemy, you know, two offloads on any other given day, Harold gets the ball away to Reinhardt. And then we'll score a brilliant try. And then Ambrose will get the ball away to Kane, and he's that far off catching it. But then, Luca catching it, and then they go all the way to the other side and score. So that's the frustrating part. We there, and then we're not there. And it's a difficult one to swallow because it's at home, and I know the supporters will be disappointed, and also that we look so good at moments, and then we just look average on other moments. And I see it just as a massive personal and team character test. Like I said, we have to just stick together in the tough times. Like anything in life, if you give up, you're not gonna get through that storm. If you stay together, you give yourself a chance.
Because would it be fair to say they're the defending champions, 16 internationals, 14 French guys, practically the French backline, but they did play like a team that's settled, that's been together for a while, and the Bulls, given you come in at a late stage, Boks had just come back, that the Bulls looked panicked, indifferent at times, and they're big name players. Really played their field position well in the second half. Their kicking game was good. They managed that altitude factor. That it was an example of where the Bulls have to get to in terms of consistency. Because this was the champion team, but they won it for the first time in 31 years last year. That this isn't a competition, just go out and win. That the lessons there now for you guys would be that this team just has to keep on building and cutting down the error rate. Would that be a fair observation of, especially that second 40?
Yeah, no, 100%. You summed it up perfectly. I think if we can take this exact Bulls team and play another 4 games together, and then then play them, it probably would have controlled the game better. Just through cohesion and settling in, and we could see we were that little bit off our timing there from the scrum when we passed outside to nobody out in it, and all those things. So, but again, you have to give credit to them. Individually, when they get space, they make good decisions and they offload well and they play. You can see they played a long time together, 9 and 10, in those centers, and even I think twice it looked like a nothing kick, but they got the 50-22, so they tactically, I think they realized they're not going to last the pace they tried in the first half by running everything, and then they started to kick a little bit more, and they kicked well, and again that when they got that sniff of opportunities, they finish. They world-class players finished, So yeah, I mean, they're a good team. And I think they took a lot of confidence of winning it last year, and that's why you could see that cohesion in that. But again, it's just the kind of mistakes we make, man. That's the frustrating thing, You can't make the mistakes we make at this level. You'll struggle to win, So we have to just dig deep and look at ourselves.
What do you do as a coach, though? I mean, you still got hair. So we'll see at the end of the season, but you know how good the players are. They play Test rugby for South Africa. Talk about the decision making and the fine margins. What do you do to kind of instill that kind of discipline? And discipline not meaning off the ball incident, discipline with ball in hand. What is your makeup or your thinking to actually get this right moving forward?
Well, for one, if we can get cohesion in our team selection, and that's not going to happen until probably February. Because next week 4 Boks is going on their rest period, so the team is definitely going to change, and then when they back for the first part of January, there's end of January, there's another 4 going on the rest period. So again, if we can get consistency in our team selection, and then I think the other part of your question is also selection. At the end of the day, if a player doesn't perform or make the same mistakes, I have to look at start selecting players that can execute and can do the things we expect them to do.
So which players?
Marco, Ruan, Kainan. I think it's either Wilco, maybe I can't remember the fourth one. Maybe it's Kirtley. I can't. Who? Gary. No, Gary is we can play him because obviously we a few weeks ago when we planned it, we didn't have enough loose hits. So I think he's
And conventional wisdom in this competition, particularly I think for South African teams, is that if you lose your home game, you're almost as good as out, and if you play the runners up next week on Sunday.
Tonight was a big blow for us. You have to win your home games, and the reality is that's why next week that for us to win, we have to pick our performance up way better than what it is tonight, and it's going to take a squad effort because there is definitely going to be changes. So that means, like you say, we're going to take a team that will have to perform at a much higher level even than tonight, and that again is a team that will play together for the first time, because there's some other players that will start coming back from injury, like Carr and those guys, that we're considering starting to get into the mix so that they can put their hand up for URC as well. That's the reality, is that the only other choice is you play the same team then tonight next week, and then the same team then tonight against the Sharks, and then the same team against the Stormers, and then somewhere you have to rest all 8 Springboks, because where are you going to put the rest period in? So that's the reality we're in. We're not, if we're saying the team with changes, it's not no respect towards Northampton, it's just the reality of where we are.
Okay, sorry, if you speaking to the guys, I mean the Champions Cup is so big for these guys over the season. They've had 30, they enter their 31st year. But what they also spoke about, the players and at the launches in the last 2 weeks, was the thrill, but also the testing of yourself in cross-border matches, where the English players say to play the French teams, to play teams from South Africa, is completely different to the mindset for the domestic competition. And that also shows how far they are off playing test rugby. Do you think that's also something that our players and our crowds have to kind of accept, that it's like the old days of Vodacom Cup and then Curry Cup and Super Rugby? The test tonight this was as close to a test team that you played. You make those mistakes, you lose like that. And those who may have ambitions of playing Springboks also know that they still have work to do.
Yeah, no, you've summed it up again. It's it's difficult. I think when I was in England, the owners of the clubs, they say they want to win the Premiership. The odd teams like Saracens and Northampton, when they started to win the Premiership, they said, okay, now we're going to go for Europe, and then but in the French and in Ireland, they want to win the European trophy, and especially the Toulouses and Toulon and the Leinsters, they totally focus on the Europe trophy. They feel that's the trophy to have. Again, I think if you the fact that you play against all the countries, part obviously from the Southern Hemisphere countries, it is a test competition, because you're going to play against sides with the internationals, unless they send a team on a away game and they rest a few guys. But it is a tough competition because there's only 4 games, and then you're into the playoffs, and then you have to win it. So I think it's something maybe the we as South Africans hasn't totally embraced yet, the magnitude of that competition. But it does put pressure on your squad. That's the thing. That if you really want to have a go, like Bordeaux tonight, they want to defend that title, and that's why they send their strongest team. They could easily say, we play next week Scarlets, let's play full team there, and whoever they next closer travel game is, win that game and the last home game or something like that. But they wanted to come and make obviously a statement how important that this competition is for them. But again, if we put our eggs in one basket, then we have to, just manage our team differently. And it's a pity that, the fixtures worked out that it's interacting with the URC, and it couldn't been 4 weeks in a row, for example, just European and then the playoffs, because then maybe we would have considered playing your same team for 4 weeks, and then it can be almost like a mini tournament, and go full out for that.
Because we're surprised at the pace they started tonight, and then kept up the pace until the end. I mean, people always speak about the altitude vingertochters. They kept up, and they started very fast.
Yeah, we knew they're going to start well, because we knew they want to probably get ahead, and then they can start dictating with the foot, and that's why, it's a pity we didn't defend better in that first 40 minutes, because if we had the ball, we actually looked dangerous. And around that half-time mark, we felt we got them, but then we started bad again in the second half by giving away penalties and momentum and on the back foot again. So that's the biggest thing, is that, we, again, like, they controlled the territory well with their kicking game, and those little turnovers and stuff didn't help. We had the maul here on the halfway line, and we knocked the ball in the maul, and they got it, and then we lost the one on the try line, and so on. So what I'm saying is we made it easy. We didn't build pressure on them to tire them out. We didn't go through a phase where we took them 10 phases and more, because I mean, obviously I spoke to one or two of the players, and Tian, who's playing for them, and he said his lungs were burning. But the reality is, luckily for them, they had the scoreboard on their side, and they had those individuals that was, on top of their game. And he said, I laughed at him. He said that's how training is, that you never know what they're going to do, but when they do it, they're good in that. So obviously, they had that freedom when they had that margin.
Lastly, from my side, a positive note, just a few words about Takwini's performance. We know his general play is very good, but tonight he showed against Saudi.
No, that's why we had confidence with that front row to start, and Alu, has had a good season so far. He's been playing good rugby even on tour, and then unfortunately had to come back for the funeral, but he's training well. He's a good man, and he deservedly has his spot. So yeah, I mean, again, everybody out there worked hard. Everybody, I could see the disappointment in the faces, but I take it as, like, I don't know, maybe anything in life, but especially individual sports where a player just goes through a period where it feels like the harder you try, nothing wants to work. It almost feels like that. We try. It's not a lack of effort, and the boys put really their bodies on the line and try hard, but it's just that magic touch, that cohesion is not there, and that's the part we must search. And like I said, up until we don't get consistency in our selection, it's going to keep on being challenging. Saying that, unfortunately, if you get selected, that's your opportunity, so you have to use it, because it's a team in a union with a rich history, and they don't want to hear about there's no team cohesion, or they don't want to hear about people resting. They want to win, and I completely understand that. So that's the challenge for us.
Yeah, but the message didn't come through already, so.
Coach, just on that first half, 100 Pollard, I mean, really controlled the game really well. Just your thoughts on and impressions on him coming into the squad. Does that settle your 10 position going forward, especially between now and that February period?
Yeah, again, that is, Andre showed his class in that first half with an offload and a try that he created for Akker, and his goal kicking from the sidelines, and the way he managed the game and so on. And then obviously, we didn't back that up in the second half, and his yellow card and David's yellow card put us a bit under pressure. But the reality is, it was his first week with us, proper week. He had that little week in on tour, and so he only was here with us in 2 weeks, And in that 2 weeks, we had to manage and the plays and trim down the plays. And now we want to play, to make it as easy as possible for him. And so I think the more time he's spending with the players and with the coaches, the more he's going to, settle in and start driving the team. And that's the reality, that combination 9-10 tonight was probably the first time they played together, Paul and Andre. I don't know if they've played together in the past, but then on the opposite, there was guys who played probably test rugby together. So that's the growing we're going through at this stage as a team. But ultimately we lost, and that's not good enough. And we have to look at ourselves and fix that. And then credit to Bordeaux for the fact that they won.
With growth in mind, what are your positives? I mean, we can speak of Pollard, we can speak of your box coming on in a dominant sort of forward pack. But for you, with the future in mind again, what are your positives that you are taking from this game?
Again, we see, like Chris just said about Alu, we see players individually. Jeff, he's learning every game. The mistakes maybe he make is great learning for him as a young lock. So as a team, there's positives. The way some of the tries we scored, some of the the effort that goes in, and now it's just on any other given day, we score another 2 or 3 tries, and now we just have to get the balance right. First of all, start better, and then second of all, make sure we plug the holes with our defense, and then the positive is the way we can attack. I still think we're up there with most teams scoring tries, even in the URC, but the reality is we're not backing it up consistently through either our mistakes, our discipline, or through the defensive effort. So the positives is there, but we must just make sure we get more of that. We sometimes just go back to back on mistakes. We give away the penalty and then we go give away another penalty, or we knock on the ball and then we give away a penalty. So and at this level, and almost at any level higher than Currie Cup, if the moment you back to back mistakes, a team will probably get points or end up on your goal line.
Good luck in Northampton.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Coach, thank you.
We're gonna need it, eh?